It is June 22nd.
And it's here.
It is
finally.
Here. Cincinnati Pride. Happy Pride, Melissa.
Happy Pride, Chris.
Yes, I do not want to yell into this microphone too much, but I'm so excited. It is June 22nd. It is officially Pride in Cincinnati. That parade is getting underway just about right now. And it's going to be a great day, a warm day in Cincinnati. Looking forward to it. And I do have a little story to talk about to start off this Pride Day about my mother and the dog.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we'll get to bigger things, I promise. My mom likes to, well, she has a dog. It's a terrier, and he got a little spooked about something recently, and we would always tell him, Louie, maybe the ghost got you. He'd jump up and like something bit him.
The dog was startled?
Yeah, startled. Yes, it was just so common for him to just jump up, and so he was getting neurotic. Louie, the dog, getting neurotic. So my mom has this blanket that my sister and I called the gay blanket because it's like a rainbow pattern.
Oh, okay.
And so we'll say, if we're sitting in the living room visiting my mom, we'll be like, hey, Mom, can you pass the gay blanket? And so Louie has found solace on the gay blanket.
Oh.
My mom discovered him laying on it.
Oh, I see. So what does this mean for Louie?
It doesn't.
Is this his coming out?
This is maybe his coming out. Maybe it's his allyship for me.
Oh, yes.
My mom's an ally, but support my, I guess I'm Louie's.
He's supporting Pride.
Supporting Pride, but laying on the gay blanket.
That's right.
Everybody should lay on a gay blanket. I think it's like one of those heavy ones that relaxes you. Just touch a gay blanket, you will calm the freak
Is it
down.
like a magic carpet?
Exactly. That is my contribution.
The gay blanket.
Yeah. What do you think about the gay blanket? We should get one.
So it covers you. It keeps you safe from the dark. Makes you happy.
And if the ghost bites you at 3 a.m., it's a comforting thing on a Thursday afternoon nap.
That's right.
That is the gay blanket story with Louie.
Well, Louie has the right idea.
Exactly.
I like Louie.
And thank you. Yes, I love Louie, and I love my mom, and I told her I was going to share that story about the gay blanket. So we love it.
Well, thanks, Mom, for that.
Yes. And I have to tell you, one person I did not tell the gay blanket story to was Ty Herndon, performing at Cincinnati Pride tonight. We'll talk to him in this hour. And who else?
We also have Jessica Dimon and
Lexi
her
Love.
drag daughter, Lexi Love, right?
Lexi Love, both performing this afternoon at Cincinnati Pride, and you can grab the whole schedule for Pride, all the performances. It really is an afternoon of drag right there at our Facebook page, and that's everything accessible at OutCincinnati.com. Lots of surprises for Pride. You are listening to Out Cincinnati. You can get cool Out Cincinnati swag, and there's a better word than cool, right there at OutCincinnati.com. You're listening to Out Cincinnati on 91.7 WVXU HD2. This is Radio Artifact. Happy Pride, Melissa.
Happy Pride, Chris.
It is Saturday, June 22nd, and a humid, hot June day.
It's steamy.
Steamy for a couple reasons. I think
right now it's steamy because of our guests we have in here.
Guests, yes. Jessica Dimon, hello.
Hello.
And Lexi Love.
Hi.
Drag mom and daughter.
Yes.
As I was, my memory was refreshed. I did my binge watching of RuPaul, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, drag mom and daughter. So you're performing, Jessica, today at Pride.
Yes, I am at 5:15.
And there's a couple stages, right? So where can folks see you?
There's the main stage and there's the tunnel stage. I will be featured on the main stage.
So is that the one with the white?
Yes.
The white whatever's on the top.
Yes, I'm so excited.
I don't know what they call those, but the white curtains on it.
Yeah, it's just called the main stage.
The stage with I simplify go to the stage with the white curtains. No, that's good. So today, 5:15.
Yes.
Main stage.
And Lexi is performing at
4:15 on the same main stage.
Same main stage.
Oh.
That is really cool. So is it like a whole afternoon of drag today, or is there a drag set?
Well, so every morning, on Pride morning, we do the parade, which starts at 11 a.m. So we are riding in a parade representing Main Event, which is a bar we work at. And so we're going to be a part of that, representing the Rainbow Pride. And then we have the big show on the main stage, which is like a really big deal for drag queens in this area to be on any stage during that day. So we're really, really excited. But it's going to be a full day of non-stop drag.
So like that stage, Jessica, is like until the main like acts come in that night is all drag all day, basically.
Yes, all day.
That is cool. So Lexi, you're part of that. And
So I
that's-
want to hear about their
Yeah.
their performances
Yeah.
in particular. So tell
Lexi
me about
has
those.
been working so hard on her
nice.
performance. She's been doing classes once or twice a week. She has something so gigantically planned that I'm excited for her. I get to actually watch her perform this year. She's before me, so I'm excited for that. But we've been like planning this for a while. We started getting our costumes made months ago. We start planning our mixes, what songs we're doing. We have to stay current, so our songs are like what the kids want to hear.
So what's give us a clue, Jessica, for what song you're thinking?
I don't want to give a clue yet. It's going to be
You're
a
gonna
big
spoil
deal.
it.
I had to try. What do you like to do drag to? What kind of music?
Well, every year I have a theme. I have something I do. Like I've done J-Lo before. I've done Dua Lipa last year, which was a really big deal for me. I like to do covers of really popular guy songs. So this year I'm trying to do something different that I don't think anybody else in the show will be doing. There's
Oh,
like
okay.
1,000 performers, so you want your song to stand out and not be what anybody else is doing.
Okay, Doofus Me gets why it's secret info now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
give it all away.
So it's like everyone. Does everyone think, okay, what are Jessica and Lexi gonna do? And
I think
is there some
everybody's
kind of tea going around about that?
I think everybody's excited about what everyone's going to do. So I think every year, like I always have a really cool costume. I always have, new stuff. So I think people are excited to see what we're going to do different that you haven't seen us do all year. And like I know Lexi's been planning her thing. She has a really big secret. I don't think she's going to reveal it today. But what she has planned is something I don't think any of the drag queens, not even myself, are going to be doing.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
Lexi, how did you come up with the idea for your show, or what type of drag queen you would like to be, or what kind of performance you would like to give? Yeah.
Just trying to stay like current and trying to be new and inventive. I'm just trying to think of different ways that I can perform on a stage that I'm not just performing or that I'm not just dancing around. I dance a lot, I do backflips a lot, and just sometimes that can get boring. So I'm trying to find other ways to spice it up.
That spices up the backflip.
a backflip in heels.
Oh, yes,
my-
baby.
oh.
She can ride a hoverboard on heels. She
Yes,
can do
my
so many.
baby.
She's incredibly talented. As a
Thank you.
drag mother, you want your daughter to do something that you can't do, or do something like more. You want to create something.
Yeah.
So that like people, when they come to see me, they know they're going to get Jessica Dimon. I always want to wow them and shock them, but authentically, I'm always myself. So my daughters, I want them to be able to do something I can't do. And Lexi is a powerhouse performer. She's a acrobatic dancer. She does flips. She comes out on a hoverboard. She comes out with new looks that I think shock everyone.
And it's important to be like avant-garde and forward
And
thinking
new,
in drag.
just
right?
new
Like,
ideas for
Yeah,
the performance.
Absolutely.
Just
I
in-
want to
in
hear a
wig,
little
you know,
more
it's-
about this drag daughter-mother
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah, so
and-
I started drag a long time ago. I'm going to say like 5 years ago. Such a long time ago. Not really 5 years ago.
How many?
Not really.
I've been
About
doing
an
drag for almost 20 years.
20 years.
I was just a little boy a long time ago with my best friend, Nomi Love, and we were trying to decide drag names, and we were discussing the fact that we might be trans. We were, fresh out of high school, and my best friend's name is Nomi, Nomi, and we tried to decide names. I was going to be Sasha St. John, and she was going to be Bianca St. John, and then we decided if we're trans, we want to use our real names. My name was Jessie, and now it's Jessica. So then I just flipped her name backwards and made my own name up, which is Dimon. And then, so Nomi and I started our drag career together. We had our own show at the Pipeline. We called ourselves the Spicy Divas. It was the biggest show in Cincinnati. Nomi's last name was Love, Nomi Love. And through our careers, Nomi found a drag daughter, a little needle in the haystack. This cute little boy came to our show and wanted to be a drag queen so bad. And my
So
friend
bad.
Nomi
Drop
immediately.
the name. Drop.
Well, I'm about to.
Oh.
My friend
I love drag names.
My friend Nomi Love found this little needle in a haystack, and her name was Cody, and she wanted to be a drag queen so bad. And Nomi and Cody became best friends, and Lexi Love was created and born by my best friend. My best friend then quit drag, and she's focused on her trans life and things like that. And Lexi stopped performing for a little while. And then she recently came back, and I said, you have to prove yourself to me if you want to be mine. You're already part of my family, but if you want to be my daughter, this is what you have to do. So she put in the work, and now she's my daughter. Lexi, love.
So, okay, silly question. I guess not silly, but how do I know if I'm a drag queen that a mother's taking applications, if you will?
So drag mothers, like someone like me, there's 1,000 new drag queens every year that come out. There's so many right now that are like, Jessica, be my mom, be my mom. They know that I'm somebody. They know I can book them. I could teach them a lot. So a lot of them want my attention. So Lexi has a very unique story. It's her story to tell, not mine. But I fell in love with Lexi the day I met her. And I've watched her go through some of the most horrific things that a person can go through. And I knew the day I met her that she was going to be someone. She just never believed that she could be. I think she thought that she could be, right?
Right, it was a far, far fantasy, but that fantasy did exist, like there was a possibility.
But Lexi liked to explore in other adventures, and she chose some bad decisions and some great decisions.
Yeah.
And then finally, one day, she woke up and realized, I want to be a drag queen, and I want Jessica Dimon to be my drag mother. And she decided that she was going to do anything it took to get my attention and to show that she wanted it this time. But throughout the whole time of me knowing her for the 10 years, every time she appeared, I opened a spot for her. I allowed her to perform. No matter what what she was going through that day, I still always gave her the spot to perform.
So what was it that grabbed your attention about Lexi?
When I met her first as a boy, and she was this cute little boy in the dressing room. I had no clue why she was in my dressing room, but she was adorable. She was wearing a suit. She looked cute. She had a little, this is back in the day when those little Bluetooth things went in your ear.
Was that hair as on point as it is? I'm sure it was.
Oh, it was dyed and peacock light.
She was a queen.
I was a little lady in the making.
I love it.
But when I seen her perform for the first time, it was so electrifying that everyone in the room. So as a drag queen, we work for tips and applause. So when Lexi walked out for her first performance, literally the entire crowd, no one reached in their pocket to get $1 out.
Nope.
Nobody screamed. We froze. It was one of those moments where you're watching a movie and you're seeing like this electrifying performer perform in front of you, and your brain just kind of disappears, and you like are so focused on what's happening. And so as soon as she was done, we all reached in our pockets like, we forgot the tip. Oh my God, do it again. Like, it was so incredible. And so I'll never forget that moment. And that's why I believe in her so much today.
And Lexi, how long have you been doing drag total since?
Oh, geez. I would say, like, in actual performance-wise, I've been performing for 5 years, 10 years, 10-year career. I did, like, 2 years. I fell off the deep end. I had lots of issues
She's
of my
been doing
own.
drag for 10 years. She likes to
That's
ramble.
the short answer.
She likes to ramble, and she likes to forget about the times where she disappeared. But
even
10
while
years.
I was
Look
at
at
home,
mom
girl.
telling on the daughter, right?
I know.
Yeah, no.
I mean, do you lose her in Kmart? No, I'm kidding.
No, she's
Now we have to ask the mom-daughter question.
It's-
Let's have them tattle on each other.
We'll do them. Well, I have a mom-daughter question for you. Well, I think Melissa does, and which I think I've inspired a little bit. And then I have a serious acronym question for you, and this is Out Cincinnati. More calories than a donut stacking contest. This is Out Cincinnati. You're listening to Out Cincinnati. We are sitting in the presence of Jessica Dimon. Hello, and
Hello.
Lexi Love.
Hey.
Both part of Pride today in Cincinnati. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, welcome to our show.
Welcome back. Happy to ask this question, or let Melissa ask this question.
Is there something in particular that you never told your drag mother or drag daughter that you would like to know?
There's nothing I have not told her. I'm a very honest mother. I just hope that she knows how proud of her I am for the things that she's been through in her life that got her here today. And I just hope she knows I'm so proud of her.
Oh, thank you.
And Lexi?
She might not think this, but she is like my absolute drag idol, okay? Like RuPaul, I absolutely love. I want to be on the show. The girls are amazing. They're extravagant. But this is somebody who not only does drag, but she lives drag. And she has shown me a side of me that I never really knew I was capable of being. So
Oh my
I love her to death.
That's beautiful. That's
Perfect. That is perfect, Lexi. That is great. So
little
Did I win the pageant?
Now on a more serious
Except
note.
yeah, you did, but our microphone isn't so sparkly.
We were talking earlier about the LGBTQ plus community and how sometimes the T is silent.
We know LGBT. We hear it all the time, but what does that mean?
I just think that whoever you are, however the LGBTQ fits for you, I feel like maybe each person individually feels that their letter that describes them might be silent. Like sometimes people forget to say the Q. Sometimes people just forget how important the T is in that. And as a young kid, I was very confused about my sexuality, and then I realized what I was, and I accepted it. I had a transition with my family and become Jessica Foltz and let Jessie Foltz go. So sometimes because I'm a drag queen, the T isn't ever really discussed. The trans community likes to blend into the audience. They don't really want a lot of they don't want the spotlight on them. They want to, if they have surgeries, they have all kinds of medicine they take and laser hair removal and things like that, so they can blend in and be an everyday girl. They don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, she's trans. I have a day job. I work every Tuesday at Chewy's in Florence, and I don't want people to walk in and be like, oh my God, she's trans. I want to blend in. So I understand how important it is to blend. But also I feel like because we like to be so shh about our transition and things like that, there has to be someone who speaks about it and speaks loud and proud about it. And so sometimes I get hate because I speak so loud about it. There's a lot of people who are trans that commit suicide before they even get to admit the fact that they're trans because they can't figure it out.
The rates are we've heard some of the rates. They're really we can speak to that. The suicide rates just in the trans community.
The youth is the most important. That's the most fragile part of our community, is the 13-year-old little boys at home or little girls at home that are like, I'm not gay, I'm not bisexual, I'm trans, and I should be a different gender. Their brain's telling them something, their body's saying something, but their outer look doesn't fit.
Yeah.
This is an issue that should be brought up during Pride because it is really important to the community that these issues be addressed, and not just during the month of June, but
every
year
day.
round.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
so.
today when I'm riding in the parade representing Main Event with my daughters and my friends, when I'm waving to the audience as they're screaming for us, I always look for that one person that's by themselves, that's sitting there, awkwardly by themselves. I tried to look at them, focus my attention on them, smile, and have a connection with my eyes, because I think gay pride is about, being loud and proud, but there's also those people who are not loud and proud yet, and they're coming to want to try to learn. So if I can connect with them even for 1 second with my eyes, hopefully I can affect them.
That's so cool, because I remember the first time I was at a Pride event, just with my thumbs in my pocket, what do I, before I was, not that I need drinks, but before I would was having a good time, right?
Drinks?
Right.
Okay,
No, I mean that is
on
cool.
Pride.
I will look for your eyes. No, I'm kidding. And then the parade.
I bet there's a bunch of people who are listening right now that can say they've seen me at Pride. They made a connection with me, and that's what I do during Pride. I make sure I stand up, I point, I see, I scream back.
And I just want to bring up one thing for our audience members who aren't well versed in the terms. So can you tell them the difference between a drag queen and a transgender person?
This is a big controversy conversation. A lot of trans girls have been auditioning for RuPaul, especially myself, and we can't get on the show because there's been girls who are transgender who have not transitioned fully that have been featured on the show, and there's been girls who transitioned after. I have already transitioned, and I'm ready to go on that show.
When you
So
say-
I audition all the time, and for some reason they just don't cast girls who've already transitioned and who are living as women.
When you say transition, the first thing most people think about is like surgery.
Yeah.
Or some things like that. But like,
Well, transitioning starts from the very beginning
Right.
where you start taking a hormone pill
as
or
far
just
as the
accepting it.
As far as the show goes, where do they draw the line? Like, are you?
Well,
Body
they
monitor.
don't say like, oh, you're trans, so we can't put you on the show. We put people who are transgender on the show.
Like,
but what they
like
haven't done
Miss
is
Peppermint,
yes.
right? Okay.
And
Miss
have you seen
Peppermint.
when she was doing her interview? She interviewed as a boy, and she didn't interview as a girl. I know Gia Gunn was featured on RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars, and they allowed her to interview as a girl, but she didn't have surgery yet and things like that.
Okay.
Now she has. They're just little technicalities. I just wish they would give people like me an opportunity.
There's so much space in drag. Like,
Well, and that's what I
yeah.
was going to say. The drag
Yeah.
community encompasses many different genders and
There's
types
women
of
who do
people,
drag now?
right? Yeah, and yes.
I
so
love seeing.
it doesn't
women-
necessarily
women
mean you're
doing-
trans,
yeah.
but there are trans persons in the drag community.
So drag queens are typically a man who transforms into being a woman. That is what drag is about. It was created like Shakespeare used to use men to play the women parts and things like that. So that is what drag is about. So when people see me, they're like, "You're trans. How are you a drag queen? You got an advantage. You have breasts. You're a woman. So how are you a drag queen?" So even though I am transgender, I am still a drag queen. I created my career before I transitioned, and I'm still just as much as a drag queen as any boy or any girl or any woman that does drag.
And I'm sure you would agree. There's a little bit more to a drag queen than a pair of boobs. I mean, yeah,
It takes
it's like,
a lot of money,
What
a
a
lot
way
of
to
costumes.
simplify. Like, oh look, you got this. What an advantage you
And
must have.
that's the other thing I wanted to ask you. Do you make your own costumes?
I can do my own costumes. I really don't prefer to. I like to go to other
Can you
designers.
sew?
I can sew.
That's the question. you asked,
Lexi?
right?
Do you sew?
$1 million question. Yes, I can sew, as well as Jessica. I mean, both of us have such busy schedules. I mean, like, we both work, 6-7 days a week. We're nonstop, whether it's at a day job or a night job. So getting somebody to make the outfits for us is our best.
So much easier.
Yeah.
Is there a way to go to like a thrift store?
Well,
and
that's
get
why I
one
said
that
you have a
don't have to
go-to.
get messed with at all. Like you just
You can
walk
do
in.
that. Lexi's very creative. So, like, for example, you give her a little dress. She can make, like, a headdress. She can hot glue this and put these little pieces together.
We build.
So she can build from something like
Oh, that's
that.
a good way to
Yeah,
think about
yeah.
it.
I have a very, like, I have a vision, I draw, and I have a photographic mind. So I'll draw something and then tell a designer, this is what I want. And so I don't really have a designer. I just have more of a curator or like a person who just sews.
So tell us again.
Oh,
Can-
Cincinnati Pride today. So,
Mhm.
Jessica, when can we see you? Lexi, when can we see you?
So I perform today at 5:15 on the main stage.
That's the one with the white curtains on it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can see me at Queen City Radio from 7 to 10, which is
there.
a really awesome patio bar. And then after that, I'll be at Main Event, which is where I work at 6 nights a week, Monday through Saturday. Showtimes are always 11:30 p.m. 835 Main Street. It's incredible.
Is
I'm the
Main
show
Event
director.
a bar or a restaurant or
It's
what?
a bar. It's a nightclub. It's a show bar. It's really, really a lot of fun.
Okay.
Also, that night I'll be appearing at Energy Nightclub with DJ Saab, which I'm super excited about at 1 a.m.
Oh, nice.
So Lexi, what about you?
Yeah, today, when can we see you?
Yes, at 4:15, the main stage as well, and I'll be at Queen City Radio with Jessica. I'll actually be at Queen City Radio until 1 a.m., and then I will hop on over to Main Event for our second show.
That is
Thank you for
perfect.
being with us today.
Thank you.
I am so honored to be a part of something new in the city, in this community. So if you ever need me again, please have me back.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Can you believe it's Gay Pride today?
I mean,
Oh my
it has been
gosh.
all month long, and then up to today. I can't wait.
I love that everyone comes together this month and we celebrate Gay Pride. Even straight people are like, "Yay, Gay Pride!"
Oh,
So
I know. I have people like in my neighborhood, and they already probably were out there yesterday getting their spots for the parade. You know, I mean, just so much dedication and so much support.
when I drove to Main Event this morning to get ready, the people were already lined up outside. So trust me, I understand people are very dedicated. They don't want to lose their spots.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everyone out there, good job today. You did
Yes.
incredible.
Thank you so much. This is Out Cincinnati on 91.7 WVXU Radio Artifacts.
telling the story of the LGBT plus community in Cincinnati. OutCincinnati.com.
You're listening to Out Cincinnati on 91.7 WVXU HD2 in Cincinnati. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great today.
It is Pride Month. It is the day of Cincinnati Pride, and we are talking to Arykah, one of the Grand Marshals. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
Great. Thanks for
Welcome
coming.
to the
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank
How's
you
it-
for having me here.
How's it feel?
I don't know that there's a real feeling to it.
I mean, it's never happened. I guess it's kind of a weird question. It's never happened before. How can you feel? I'm Grand Marshal. You know.
I mean, I'm honored.
I'm
Don't
sure.
don't get me wrong. I'm definitely honored by it. I'm not really sure how or why I was selected. I mean, my suspicion is maybe a couple or three things. Is the first is that this is the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and what a lot of people don't know is that the Stonewall riots started with, I think it was a shot glass that was thrown by Marsha P. Johnson, and then the riots kind of broke out after that. There was a movie a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, called Stonewall, and the person in the movie was a guy. I don't remember the name of the character in the show, but you know, as everyone has told the story, at least to my knowledge, it was Marsha P. Johnson that was instrumental in starting the Stonewall riots, and her sidekick was Sylvia Rivera, and both of them were trans women of color.
Okay.
So with it being the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and with Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera both being instrumental in starting what we now have as the modern day LGBT movement.
Right.
I'm assuming that they selected a couple of trans women of color because it's myself and Ariel Shaw.
Now, you do activist work, though, in the community, yes?
Yes, I do some activism or work in the trans community. I guess I don't necessarily think of it as activism. I'm just doing the things that I personally feel right. I'm a board member with Trans Ohio, which is a statewide trans education, advocacy, support, and community organization. I'm also a member of Trans Saints, which is it's a spiritually based organization, and we support different spiritualities, different walks of life as it comes, and the trans community. So kind of a place where people can find their faith at, and whatever that be, and commune with other trans individuals, because as trans individuals, as LGBT people, I think that both of these groups have experienced some hardships, some struggles, some strife, some backlash from spiritual organizations, in history, the church, if you will, the Christian church in particular. And this offers an opportunity for people to come together and still have that spiritual base and be able to commune with other individuals of trans experience.
So how did you come to be a part of that organization, and how do you express personally your faith as a trans woman?
I'm going to answer your second one first and your first one second. I was raised in the church from a young age. My mom took me to church every Sunday. I've always had this faith and belief in God to some degree, I guess. Arguably it's kind of instilled upon you because you're just going all the time and you start to believe something, whether you believe it or not, and then eventually either you believe it or you don't. That seems to be the way of the world these days. So for me, I've always had that faith. I pray regularly. I can honestly say that I personally feel a connection with my God and a sense of communication. He may not come when I call. He's always on time. And I've never really been without, and so that's how I've come to have the faith that I have. as a trans woman, I started my transition about 7 years ago. And that faith that I always had just came along with me. Churches these days are becoming more open and affirming. The church that I go to, Truth and Destiny Covenant Ministry, which is on the corner of West North Bend and Coleraine Avenue, right next to the Water Tower. We're an open and affirming church. We're part of the Fellowship of Affirming Ministries, which is a part of the UCC, the United Christian Church, I think is the actual term for that. But and so there are a lot of churches out there that are becoming more open to trans people and to gay, lesbian, and bisexual people as well.
What was it like for you to walk into the church when you started transitioning? Was it always an easy road, or are there places that are so accepting that it doesn't matter?
The church, and maybe this kills two birds with one stone. I mentioned that I was a part of Trans Saints, and I found Trans Saints online, their website, and somehow it led me to the church that I'm in now. I don't remember the details of how, but there was a meeting on a Friday evening, and I went to the meeting. And going to the meeting encouraged me to actually come back to the church because the people I met were so warm and welcoming. And then when I got to the church, there were actually a couple of other trans women there. And they were mothers of the church. So they were older women that were trans, and they kind of took me under their wing. And I felt at home from the very first time that I got there. And I haven't left. I go visit other churches and meet other people in different places, but that's my home. That's the church that I belong to.
And one really cool thing, we were talking before we did this interview, the drive-through prayers that you were doing.
We were doing
talk about, because I just thought that was so cool, because it's just like,
So the way that it's kind of like fast food, like a drive-through restaurant, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. So we have some people who stand out on the street and they kind of wave signs, and the signs say drive-through prayer on them.
That's cool.
And as people are driving by, some people will pass by and then turn around and come back, or sometimes you can get them before they pass you by, and they'll pull into the lot. And the reality is I think that we as people, all of us as people, we are dealing with enormous pressure in society today. And it can be our children, it could be our family, it can be our job, it can be our spouse or partner or whatever. And sometimes we just need that moment to connect with a higher power. Sometimes just be in the presence of another person who's going to intercede on your behalf and talk to their higher power. I mean, there are a lot of people out here that don't necessarily believe in God. They believe in the universe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's fine, but we'll pray with anyone, especially those who are going through something in their personal lives, and they need somebody to kind of listen and kind of intercede.
What is the outreach you do among the trans community in general? I'm sure you're spreading out to everyone, but particularly to the trans community.
Actually, tomorrow we're getting together as Trans Saints. And we're going to be putting together some hygiene bags, and we're going to go out and hit the streets and hand out, hand sanitizer. There'll be condoms for people who are doing sex work, lube, toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrushes, because some people are homeless, and that's just the way that they survive. And so it's a combination or a plethora of groups that we'll be hitting. We don't just work with the trans community, we will work with the cis community. And so tomorrow when we go out and hit the streets, it's everyone. It's not just the trans community. But we try to partner with other organizations. There's Heartland Trans Wellness, there's Crossport here in Cincinnati. So, we've partnered with them on different things or been part of it. Transgender Day of Visibility, Transgender Day of Remembrance. We work with them on those events. So it's not just the trans community, but that's our primary focus.
I read that you transitioned older in life, older than when did you? How do you ask the question? When did you know? What did you? People ask me that too. When did you know whatever you knew?
I think that you know, Chris, you'll probably agree. It's a feeling. You know, so when people say you can't be, or you know, or what is it like, or how did you know? It's a feeling, and I'm old. I'm older. I'm 48. I had suspicions. I had feelings when I was 13-ish, 12, 11, somewhere in that area. I just didn't know how to express it, and I didn't have the language. The word transgender, I'm pretty sure it didn't exist then. I wasn't familiar with the word until the early 2000s, or the turn of the century, is that the turn of the century? Yeah, the turn of the century. So I didn't have the terminology or language to really describe who I was and how I was feeling. And I had been writing a book, and the first chapter of that book starts off with me talking about an experience where I had been experimenting with cross-dressing. And I went into my mother's closet and pulled out of some of her garments, and I stuck them between the mattresses in my in my bedroom to hide them. And I come from a military family, so making a bed is not like
Right, the corners have to be tucked.
Right.
I can bounce that quarter. So.
Right.
So, but for some reason that day, my mom decided to change the sheets on my bed, and she found her stuff, and she asked me about it. She's like, "Do you want to be a girl? Are you gay?" And no, because I just didn't know what to do. I didn't have the language.
You didn't have the actual word for it.
I didn't have the words for it. I didn't know what it was that I was feeling, and needless to say, she skinned me like a cat. And at that point, I kind of knew that, okay, this isn't something that I should talk about. And so I tried to suppress it. And, I tried to do all of the things that the typical guy does. And then, at the end of the day, I could suppress it, but it would come back, that feeling would come back stronger and stronger. So it wasn't until later in life that I transitioned. I was early 40s. And, my life had taken some turns, and I ended up saying, the opportunity is here, the window is open, and I'm going to try to make the best out of it. So I did. And it's a little different. I mean, I run into a lot of trans women who, quote, came out when they were in their teens. It's a different, when we have conversation, things are different, just there are parts of life that they didn't live through, or that I didn't live, that they didn't live through that I lived through, and vice versa. There are parts of life that they lived through that I couldn't experience. So imagine, being, identifying as a trans woman at 13. And, you've gone through your teenage years as, this young girl, and, you go through your 20s as this young girl, versus someone who, did just the opposite. They suppressed it for years and tried to fake the funk of being something that they weren't. And then all of a sudden, making that transition and having this huge gap in life where you don't have the experiences of that other person. Not that that's tremendously important to have those experiences. For me as a person, I kind of look at it and say, what I have is what I have, and I have to honor it and respect it, and take it and remember it for what it is, And but it's just a different experience, and especially being in the Black community, It's very homophobic, very transphobic, and probably more so than mainstream society. And so, again, it's a different experience, I see my purpose really as being more just kind of connecting people with the resources they need, because a lot of times people don't know what they need. And a lot of people are going through the same thing that I went through, where they didn't have the language or the knowledge themselves or anyone around them. Really, again, connect them with the resources that are out there. whether it be name changes, whether it be gender marker changes. Sometimes it's housing, which is often a really difficult one. Food. Sometimes it can just be a minor thing that someone has been struggling with getting taken care of, and I may know how to do that. Some people who have criminal records that are preventing them from getting a reasonable and safe housing because they have something on their record from 20 years ago that at the time was probably major, but now it's something that's minor because everybody does it.
You can be an advocate for and get them in living somewhere.
And
you
I
know?
mean, it's not even. I could say, well, hey, that's something that you might be able to get expunged, or
Right.
Maybe there's a program. I know that the the Ohio Justice and Policy Center, and it's not the Justice Center. It's the Ohio Justice
the
and
same way.
Policy
Yeah,
Center.
wrote down the beginning part. Yep.
Just to make just to make sure people are clear. And so this is an organization of, from what I know, I've kind of dealt with some of the people there a couple of times, not much, but they deal with really trying to get people whole again, if you will, and we have laws on the books that are ancient and they prevent people from getting jobs. People have things on their record where they stole $5 from somebody, 30 years ago, but have been living an upright life since then, but they can't find a good job because every time they fill out an application, they have to check a box that says, I was convicted of this misdemeanor for stealing.
People can't look past that. I mean,
So do you try to work with politicians to try to get some of the laws changed, or?
Not personally. I mean, I do some of this through Trans Ohio because we do some of the advocacy work, and we partner with organizations like Equality Ohio and some of the other organizations that are doing that type of work. So personally, I mean, am I involved? Sure. Do I disseminate information? Yes. Am I trying to keep people abreast and apprised in my community of what's going on? Yes. But am I, at the forefront of it? No. A lot of times it's organizations like Equality Ohio or the ACLU or, whoever, and they're asking us to mobilize.
Say I want to get involved in the community. I want to help the trans community, for example. Where do I go first? Where's a good place for me to start where I'm actually going to be able to help people?
Well, I'm a board member for Trans Ohio, so you can always go to our webpage, which is transohio.org. The Trans Saints is a bit smaller, considerably smaller, and we're really getting off the ground now and trying to get some things moving. A lot of the things that we're doing are just coming to fruition now, and so we're getting into the streets. But you could reach out to us. We have a Facebook page, so if you can hit Facebook, you can do that. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at Arykah at transohio.org, and Arykah is spelled ARYKAH at transohio.org, and I can try to connect you there. And there are other organizations. There's Heartland Trans Wellness. That's here in Cincinnati. I don't think that they have a website right now. They're going through, and I want to call it a merger. I'm not really sure.
I think they're on Facebook too. And
They're
you
on
can message them
they
too.
are
Yeah.
they are on Facebook. It's Heartland Trans Wellness, and I know that they're doing some work with Crossport as well. That's another organization here in Cincinnati.
Very good.
Crossport.org. They do have a website, and they're also on Facebook, so you can reach out to that organization. They have support group meetings, and they are more than welcoming and looking for people to help with programming, volunteering, just a plethora of different things. And it's all organization. It's just not those two. It's Trans Saints, it's Trans Ohio. Those are right here in our community.
Thank you for being here today, Arykah. I hope you have fun at the Pride Parade. At least you know as the Grand Marshal that if you don't go, no one else.
No one else. But
Right.
people keep telling me that. So
That's what everyone. You know what? If you don't march, the rest of the parade doesn't even work. Thank you so much for being here, Arykah.
Thank you for having
It was
me.
a pleasure.
Out Cincinnati. You're listening to 91.7 FM HD2 WVXU.
Hi, everybody. It's Jessica Dimon, the it girl of Cincinnati. It's Gay Pride, and you're listening to Out Cincinnati.
You're listening to Out Cincinnati at 91.7 WVXU HD2. Happy Saturday, happy Pride. I am joined by Mr. Richard Cooke of the Cincinnati Tea Dances. How's it going, Richard?
It's great. Thank you, Chris. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm excited about Pride today. Happy Pride, by the way.
We're excited too, and happy Pride to you.
Yeah,
and
today, Cincinnati Pride. Yeah, thank you so much. I want to know how... Well, I want to talk about what a tea dance is, but I want to know how the June 9th event went. I heard you had a good crowd. How was the weather and everything?
We had a great crowd at the tea dance on June 9th at Rosedale in over the Rhine, and we had about, I would say, 300, 400 people enjoying the afternoon, networking, drinking, dancing, and just having a great time. It was a very successful event.
And so that was June 9th, and there's another one going on tomorrow at the Music Hall Ballroom. I think it's from 4 to 8, correct?
That's right. This
okay.
is the biggest ever tea dance that we've done. We're expecting over 1,000 people at the tea dance, rounding off the Pride weekend, and we have a lot of entertainment and activities planned.
Okay, so that sounds... Wow, 1,000 people, Music Hall Ballroom. I mean, imagine the networking, the dancing, the conversation. What is a tea dance, and you brought them to Cincinnati. So what are they for folks who just, think tea dance? Oh, I'm going to go have some tea. It's not quite that simple.
It's not, actually. So I founded the tea dances in Cincinnati 2 years ago. I started doing them very small scale in bars and locations that could allow the LGBTQ community to gather in a space and dance and network and have a few drinks and relax. So the intent was to bring everyone together on a Sunday afternoon using music and dance as a catalyst to promote networking and friendships. But the history of the tea dance goes back to the 1940s, when it was illegal to serve gay people alcohol and for same-sex couples to dance together in public. So, as you can imagine, tea dances have really become embedded in the LGBTQ civil rights movement. And today, really, they are more of a symbol of progress, of celebration, a reminder of our past struggles, and also our future aspirations. And I think it's very fitting that we have one of our largest tea dances during Pride weekend in Cincinnati, the 50th anniversary of Pride, the beginning of the Pride movement at Stonewall in New York.
June 23rd at Music Hall, what do you have in store, entertainment-wise, music-wise?
I think you should definitely have it on your calendar for tomorrow. Don't miss it. As I said, it's going to be our largest tea dance. We're going to have 6 of our best city's best DJs, 6 DJs playing throughout the evening. We're going to have 5 drag queens, and Penetration is our MC. She's a drag queen here in Cincinnati. Amazing.
Oh yeah, she was on. Wasn't she on RuPaul's Drag Race?
She was on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's right.
Okay, awesome.
And we have Sin City Burlesque dancing. So we have a female couple dancing, and we also have a cis and a trans couple dancing, which I think will be amazing. We have international professional cabaret champions Maria and Ala Yenendorf. We have a flash mob by Dance Fix. And then we have some elevated aerial performers suspended from music hall ceiling, just dancing to the music in the air. It's just going to be phenomenal.
I'm having fun listening to the description. I just want to see the aerial acrobatics, and that's good enough. But there's a whole list there. That's really exciting. So this This tea dance is happening tomorrow, Music Hall Ballroom between 4 and 8. Is there a cost? How do folks sign up? Can you
It's free. It's free admission. Doors open at 3:30, and so as long as you're over 21, want to come and have fun, then you're welcome.
And is there a dress code?
There is not. It's just come as you feel comfortable. This is Pride Weekend in Cincinnati, so we welcome everyone, and please dress as how you feel comfortable, and you'd be very welcome.
Thank you for your time. I will hopefully see you this weekend. I'm usually sporting a fedora, and I'm a portly guy. So
Okay.
yeah. So thank you so much, and happy Pride. Have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. Happy Pride to you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Out Cincinnati looks better in leather.
Hey everybody, this is Lexi Love, the girl you all love to love, and you're listening to Out Cincinnati.
You're listening to Out Cincinnati at 91.7 WVXU HD2 in Cincinnati. And happy Pride, by the way, to everyone. And happy Pride, Ty Herndon.
Thank you, man.
How you
Thank
doing?
you so much. I'm wonderful. I'm doing good. Just been busy. This has been a very busy Pride month.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Cincinnati Pride today, and that is what time?
7 o'clock, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right there. That's right there, and you'll love it, man. There's a beautiful stage down there, and it looks like drapes on the top of it, but it's some kind of art thing, and that's the cover of the stage. You'll love it, man. So thank you. Welcome to Cincinnati. I was looking, and I was jamming out to "Living by a Moment" this morning. I'm not afraid to admit that. And what can we expect today at Cincinnati Pride?
Man, you should love admitting that. It was a great song. The 90s country still rules, even here in Nashville. It's so funny because where I live in Nashville, we get so many tourists there now. We've grown from 600,000 in 8 years to a little close to 2 million. And wow. And every time, I don't do a lot of shows in Nashville, but every time we do, it's packed. And some of my great friends like Jody Messina and Terry Clark and just a lot of the 90s country artists, they're doing more shows here in Nashville because that music is still alive and well. And we're all still making great new albums as well in country. So, and for me, I'm representing the LGBT community and still rocking it out at fairs, festivals, and casinos.
well, I know that's cool, man. I mean, what's the Pride? Pride circuit. What's the Pride circuit been like? I mean, I know you're Cincinnati Pride, and congrats, by the way, for the Grand Marshal title in Nashville. That really kicks, man. That's
cool.
cool.
It was an honor, man. It's our very first. It's hard for me to believe it's our very first Pride parade in Nashville, but it is, and so it just shows how far Nashville has come. And the Pride circuit for me is always so fun to look forward to it, and we kick it off on June the first Thursday in June every year with my concert. I partnered with GLAAD, our concert for love and acceptance, which is just turned 5 years old this year.
And how was that this year? I mean, who'd you have, and what was the turnout like?
We were sold out, man. We had Lee Bryce, Hunter Hayes, we had Daughtry this year. We had the amazing Rita Wilson, which is Tom Hanks' wife. She's touring right now, and secretly I was kind of hoping Tom Hanks would be there because he's kind of showed up at everything she's been at. But you know what? He didn't show up, but
next time.
Her best friend Tim and Faith did. Tim's an old friend of mine, so it was good to have them backstage. And on our stage we had the amazing Shelley Wright this year, and we've been friends for I'm not even going to tell you how many years. But she's the true pioneer of she's kind of the queen of country of coming out first. And
I remember that, and every time I think about Shelley, I think about single white female and that video in the bus, and that when I first heard that song, and
yeah, man,
it's such an inspiration. So when did you?
We had 3,000 people packed in that place, and she got a 5-minute standing ovation. So Nashville welcomed her home. So amazing. So it was great to see that, and all of our money for that goes to at-risk youth here, mostly in the South, but around the United States. So we raised a lot of money for that, and then I jumped right back into to regular touring, and then we are, and here we are today.
Well, let me,
looking forward to the show.
No, seriously, let me ask you. You talked about helping at-risk youth, and what exactly is the foundation, or what are you involved with that folks can look up, Ty, that we can find more information about?
Well, I work with Trevor Project, and I work with Human Rights, but the Trevor Project, you can go online at Trevor, and our suicide rate in the United States for 14-year-olds and under have actually gone down, which I'm happy to say.
Good news for once.
Yeah, good news for once. But, there's still a lot of kids at risk out there that have been kicked out of their homes, their churches, their families, just simply because they were telling the truth and being authentic. And, I work tirelessly with that because, I don't want to see one more kid lose their life, because of the way they were born, and they were born perfectly normal and beautiful. So it's a big thing for me because I know as a kid, I felt so alone, and I would sit and watch the country awards, and sure, I would love for George Strait to be gay, but he's not. So.
Right? No, seriously. And what's that like being an Alabama boy? And nothing against Alabama, but you're in the environment.
Exactly, and I do a lot of work down south, and it is getting better. But oddly enough, man, I counsel more with parents these days that have an LGBTQ kid, and just try to encourage them. Like, look. You got to treat your kid just like a normal kid. The kid needs to go to school, go to college. Your biggest job is to love them, so and support them in their community. So and make sure that they're involved in their community. And it's just so important for parents to hear that. So I think educating parents is also a really big deal. And and we go in and talk to the parents that are willing to show up that have had a kid that they've lost that kid or that kid's on the street. And it's just it can be a very intense conversation, just to say the least. But
the suicide thing, just my personal, I think that the more we talk about it, the less it happens, and I think it's as simple as that. Mental health and all that.
Yes.
I was talking
Very
to someone.
true.
You got to do a buddy check with someone. Say, hey, how's it going, man?
Very
how
true,
you doing?
man.
So, and
so
I want to ask you, what, for folks who don't know, when did you, because being in country music, being LGBT, coming out, and, it's 2019, different times. But when did you do it? How did you do it? How did it feel?
Well, man, I came out November 14th, it was 5 years ago, yes, 2014. And I just November had a birthday with that. That's what I call my big gay awesome birthday. And I was living in Kansas City with my partner, still touring. We have, he's from there, and we have several homes there. And so I was just going back and forth from Nashville, and I was so authentic with everything in my life but that. And so I just couldn't live in my skin anymore. So I started talking to my friend Shelly Wright, and she introduced me to a lot of key players that were mentally good for me to come out, because it's a lot of people don't think about this, but it is a mental thing to be able to do that, because you want to make sure you're okay with it. And I tell that to all these kids, make sure your environment's safe for you to say those big words, and if not, we'll help you find that environment. And Shelly was that person for me, and she just kind of walked me through it. She said, dude, everything you're saying to me, you're like more than ready to do this. It's like, yeah, I know. I just, I'm a big crybaby. I just got needed to be cheered on a little bit. And
so it was in People magazine, right? And that's what I think.
Yeah, People and Entertainment Tonight broke the story, and they've been friends of mine for a long time. They followed me. We, I say we because it's not just me. I have a multitude of employees and families that were standing right beside me. But here's the deal. And I told all of these people that. I told my family, friends, and employees. I was like, I would rather go and use one of my degrees and do something else than I was willing to walk away from the music business completely if I couldn't be authentic. And I knew that if I wasn't doing music, I would be championing people who were doing music, so producing and writing. And, I got that far down the road thinking about it. And then one day I just said, okay, that's it. Today's the day,
when you had that, would you have come out when you had that first big success? I mean, would you have really, you know, someone has said to you, you know, your partner, anybody at the time said, you know, I can't do this if you're not authentic, and I know you're charting right now and you're touring and all this and that, but I need you to do this. Would you?
No. Back in 1995, you mean?
Yeah, I mean,
95 and 96? No.
Yeah, pick a year.
And this is the big reason. It wouldn't have been safe, number one. Yes, you know, it just, it wasn't, you know, it just wasn't a time for that in country music. And, you know, quite honestly, I was still at that time, even though I had a partner, I was just in a lot of turmoil spiritually. You know, I say this and I stand by it. Me coming out at that time, I would have just been a mess, you know, and coming out, especially in the entertainment industry, you have to be strong and you have to know exactly what you're talking about. You have to know exactly where you're going.
You have to have all your ducks in a row.
Yeah. And for me back then, it was just a lot of confusion. And
I appreciate you sharing that, Ty. That's a lot. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, that the fact what's your, you know, that's a real personal thing. So I want to know, you know, for country music, it's 2019. The sound has changed so much. Where do you see it going? Where's it been? You think about decades, and you think, oh, the 90s sounded so different from the 80s and all that. Where are we going?
And every now and then I'll turn on the radio and I'll hear one of these new guys, and they're definitely channeling some old school. I'm like, there you go, dude.
That's it.
And I love that. So working with a new artist, Cameron Hawthorne, he is here in Nashville now. And he's kind of channeling some old school stuff, and he's an LGBT country artist, tall, good-looking guy, and a little bit of a cowboy. And, you know, and then my good friend, Brandon Stansel, you know, he's in Nashville now, and he's making waves. He was the first out country artist to have CMT country music television air his video about coming out to his mom, which was a huge deal.
It's amazing how those little things are huge deals, right? But that is a huge deal for visibility and everything.
It's a huge deal, man. So, you know, I learned from these guys, and it makes me a little braver. It makes me a better person for the community. And I just celebrated 25 years of my first number one hit. Changed the pronouns on the song and put it out there. And here's the deal: it never even crossed my mind that I was basically the first guy to do that in country. You know, I think if I'd have thought about that, I'd been really nervous.
That's a serious thing. Yeah, that makes there's an old record called "Love Is a Drag." I think that's the name of it. And this it's the one guy singing all these old songs, and they change all the pronouns on them. You can look it up on YouTube. It's cool to listen to because you think,
I've seen it for sure.
I'm in love with that guy, this kind of thing. So let me ask you, as an Alabama guy, you know, I went to school for languages. That's kind of my background, and radio just kind of bit me in the butt. So I got to ask you, what's your favorite Southern expression? And I can prompt you if you want. I have a little prompt.
Oh, my God. I think any Southern boy's expression is bless her heart, or bless his heart.
Bless his heart. Okay, and how many different meanings does bless your heart have?
It can mean whatever mood you're in at the time, or whatever behavior's going on with that person. It could be a wonderful performance with bless his heart, or it can be a really bad behavior with bless his heart.
Or you, I heard a preacher say one time, I'm going to have everybody calling me and blessing me from here to Sunday, you know, or something like that. You know, calling to complain. So.
Oh yeah.
You know, I love you know, let's say Southern talk, but I love the Southern accent.
Yeah, there's some humdingers out there of Southern sayings. My grandmother was the best, but you know, here's the thing: I was raised with although they were a very Christian family growing up. I was raised with a very affirming family. I mean, my great grandfather was a stop on the Underground Railroad back in the early days of slavery. So I come from a lineage of very affirming, surviving people. So I think even though they later on knew that I was gay, as my grandmother always said, well, baby, I wasn't an idiot. I figured that out before you did.
That's what you hear from that's what my mother said.
And I'm glad that's in me. You know, I'm glad that kind of blood lineage and strength is in me, because I like to pass that along. And, you know, the fear that was in me came from society, from seeing too much hate and seeing too much death and and seeing how awful people could be to someone that's different. You know,
You're right.
I don't even like that word anymore. I don't even like different. Someone that's not like you. So
and you're right. In '95, in '95 I was in, I was in high school, I think, at that point. But I mean, I remember the times, and I definitely wasn't out. So tell me about those dance remixes that you've been up to. What's that been like, and what's been the reaction?
The dance mixes?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait.
I strictly did those for Pride Festival. So what we do is we do a little bit of the regular version and then we pump into the dance mix because it is a Pride celebration. Everybody wants to dance and feel good. So I don't like people thinking they're going to come to the show and just have to give a yeehaw. But they can if they want to. But we pump it up. We pump up the volume and people. I've done about 20 of these now with the dance mixes, and then we do a little bit of Stone Cold country in there because I'm a country artist, but I like mixing it up, and the reaction has been huge. It's been great.
And it's, because it's not just, as they say, it's not just hillbillies that listen to country, and that's so very true. And I can't wait to hear and I'm glad to hear part country, part dance, during the concert.
Even in country music today, you're not cool if you don't have a dance mix. So there you go.
Oh man, you just schooled me there. Now I'm going to have to spend the afternoon doing a YouTube country dance mix.
There's a bunch of them there, from Lady Antebellum to Early Taylor. It's good stuff.
Get out. Okay, well, thank you so much, Ty, for joining us. Looking forward to Cincinnati Pride.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you, Cincinnati. Come on out and rock your boots. Let's do it.
Yeah, and what's your website? Folks can see what you're up to.
Herndon.com.
Makes sense. All right, this is Out Cincinnati on 91.7 WPXU.
You can get cool Out Cincinnati swag, and there's a better word than cool, right there at OutCincinnati.com. You're listening to Out Cincinnati on 91.7 WVXU HD2 here in Cincinnati. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, Chris.
Happy Cincinnati Pride Day, June 22nd.
Thank you.
Talking to a lot of people, and sitting in front of us is Ariel, one of the Grand Marshals.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Aren't you excited to lead such a big? I mean, it's like 50,000 people down there.
I really am. Because when I found out I was one of the Grand Marshals, I was actually really shocked that I got picked. So I'm thinking to myself, oh well, there's probably much better contenders, because I had two different people on two different occasions tell me that they nominated me.
Aww.
So I figured, oh well, okay, that's cute, we'll just see what happens, And next thing you know, while I'm out of town, I get a Facebook message from someone telling me I'm one of the Grand Marshals, and I have to send a headshot. And I'm like, wait, what? It was wild.
So what are you expecting? Or I don't know what it would be like to lead a parade.
I've been going to Cincinnati Pride Parade since I was a junior. Since I was a sophomore in high school.
Wow, that's
so
cool.
11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, no, yeah. So I've been going for about 5 years now. Yeah. And it just blows my mind that after all these years, I'm one of the Grand Marshals.
That is so exciting.
That's. I mean, I wouldn't be able to pick an outfit.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to pick a headshot. Not that I have an abundance of either. No. In the community, you were telling us before that you're an artist, you're an actor. What are you involved in? And we were talking about a specific fringe-esque festival that goes on.
Yes. So I'm an actor. I wouldn't say I'm like an established actor. I definitely wouldn't say that. But I'm finding my way as an artist, and I'm figuring out what does that mean for me. So a couple days ago to a week ago, I wrapped up a show called The Clinic, and the clinic is a play that that a bunch of local actors put on, and it was just like a stage reading, and it was to raise money for Planned Parenthood.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
And where was that at? The...
This is at the Lincoln Grant Theater.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, this wonderful man named Will made a post on Facebook, asking people to please put on this show, and because the show is about abortions, and it's and the show is about fighting so that people with uteruses can have that right. And so I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I just so happened to see this post, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, so I share the post because at that point my would-be director who ended up directing the show shared it, and I was well, let me just share this, see what happens. So I shared it, and then a couple days later, I want to say a week later, I got a message from that same person who shared that article and was like, hey Ariel, are you free during the summer? I'm like, yeah, I'm free, and they're like, okay, so we have this play, and I really, really want you to be a part of it, and I hope you can join us. And I'm like, sure. So next thing you know, I'm emailed this 141 page script, and I'm playing a patient named Juana.
Wow, what a cool! I mean,
cool.
From a Facebook post to playing Juana,
Right, and and I have to be very, very honest. If it were not for Cincinnati Shakespeare Company and Project 38, I would not be where I am at today.
So you've done stuff with them too.
Yeah. So when I was in in grade school and high school, I was very much the theater obsessed kid.
Mm-hmm.
I would watch the Tonys annually.
Were you in shows too, or?
No. So because of how I grew up, my school didn't have a theater community, and my family wasn't exactly rooting for me or pushing for me to be in theater, because it wasn't that it wasn't that they didn't want me to be in it. It was just that we couldn't because of the circumstances that I was in.
Okay.
Right. When you're a single mother raising 5 kids, and in this case my sister, when you're a single mother raising like 5 kids and dealing with everything and then some, thinking about putting your child in tap classes or vocal classes, that's not exactly on the top of your list,
right?
Especially when you're black, like.
So what was? I have just got a fun question off that. What was your favorite show in high school, or
Just favorite show.
Like, what would you come home and put on the CD, and like that was like, for me it's the Rent CD, and I know that sounds very
I'm thinking of Rent.
Okay.
I loved Rent so.
Favorite song?
So much. I would probably have to say Another Day.
Okay.
Because it's Another Day is a very, very multi-layered song. The thing about Rent itself is that it's not one of those like cash crop musicals.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and so I use that term because a lot of shows that are on Broadway, and both in the past and now have been cash crop shows. So okay, let me think of an example. I probably have to say Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice opened up on Broadway a couple weeks ago. I think a couple months ago, actually. The set design is great. I'm sure the singing is great. I'm sure the acting is great. Alex Brightman is playing the role of Beetlejuice. It's supposed to be one of those really like big shows.
It's a show to make money, like
right.
Lion King.
Right now, Lion King
Phantom,
tells the story, so that's Phantom.
Right.
And and I don't want to say this and make it seem like it takes away from the talent. It doesn't. But I think we have to be transparent when we talk about theater.
Right.
Because when it comes to Broadway, it's very much commercial theater. It's not like in Cincinnati, It's not like regional theater where it's about telling a story. It's about making money.
I want to ask. We're talking with Ariel, one of the Grand Marshals for the Cincinnati Pride Parade. Happy Pride!
Thank you. Happy Pride to you as well.
Yeah, it's a day of Cincinnati Pride. It's a great day in Cincinnati. I want to ask you your time in high school. I was reading your blog.
Diary of a Mad Black Trans Girl.com. Check it out.
Thank you. Yes, Diary of a Mad. Say it again.
Diary of a Mad Black Trans Girl.com.
And we'll put that all over social media. The blog post about your time in high school. What exactly happened that day when you wanted to?
Okay, so actually, I kind of a little backstory about how I came to write that. So I was at CCM one night because I got invited to this like student-led night of like creativity for like CCM students to put on their own work, you know, and I got invited to it via Facebook, like Facebook invite, you know how you invite 200
another Facebook
friends.
Connection for
right,
good, yep.
And so I'm like, well, shit, you know, I'll go, you know, and I went, and you know, and one of my friends did a piece from their show called Moving the Mountain, and I won't go too much into it because I feel like it's not my story to tell, if that makes sense, because it's a very personal story, and I don't feel comfortable sharing it anywho, but yeah, they shared this very, very personal and beautiful story, you know, where they got really vulnerable, and it kind of inspired me to write the post that you now see on my website. Yeah. And so I want to say that happened around junior or senior year of high school or so. It was senior year of high school. I remember that. It was my senior year of high school, and me and a family member had gotten into this like really big argument. I think it was over kitty litter or something.
That's how they always start.
Right, like,
things.
well, like, right, you know, it was over something minuscule, like kitty litter, I think, and you know, and it was just very, very heated argument. It was more so on one side. It was more so on her side versus my side because you're a kid, you don't really talk back, you know.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I remember it being like kitty litter, and I got yelled at and everything, and you know, and I was just trying to, I don't want to say find my voice, but you know, I was just trying to like unpack a lot of shit that was just happening like all at once, like, you know. And I remember going to school and I felt like utter shit, you know. That was probably one of my worst days. You know?
It wasn't just the cat litter, I guess. It was just like that bringing everything out. Like,
right. You know,
oh my
right.
gosh, I have to.
Right. And it was kind of like a culmination of everything. And at that point, I was still presenting male, so I hadn't transitioned yet. And so I was a gay male. I was presumed to be a gay male. At least that's how society saw me. But I wasn't sure what the fuck I was. So I was still trying to figure that out. That day, I felt like I felt like complete trash. I remember I didn't want to be bothered. I walked out of class because I was just so overwhelmed. You know, and I remember I wrote this little like suicide note, and I was contemplating walking out to the highway. I was mapping that out, like, if I just walk out, I don't feel any different anymore.
Right.
You know.
What would you tell that high school senior now in 2019, you know, when they were making those plans and really thinking, oh, this is how I'm going to do it?
I would probably say, you know, keep fighting and know that there's so much more than these four walls and this neighborhood that you're living in. You know, you're going to meet so many different people who will love you for who you are and not what they want you to be.
Oh, totally.
You know, because, you know, I've made the decision to go into acting. You know, I've always been passionate about this since I was like a child. You know, even when I didn't know that I wanted to become an actor per se, I've always knew that I like to perform. you know. And so, you know, because when I was in high school, you know, I didn't have the privilege of being able to act. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school where my wonderful, wonderful teacher, Diane Rowland from Withrow High School,
Shout out.
shout out.
There you go.
I love you, Miss Rowland. You the real MVP. Anywho, Miss Rowland was my 12th grade high school English teacher, and I remember we were sitting in class one day, and I think it might have been in like October or September, and Miss Rowland was bringing up this thing called Project 38, and she was like, yeah, and she was just like, I'll need 2 lead actors to do this, you know, and it'll be a lot of work, and you know, and I'll need commitment. And I was like, I will do it, Miss Rowland, please let me do this,
Yeah,
please.
I volunteer. Yes.
I volunteer tribute.
And that was the beginning.
Yeah, and you know, looking back, I think I was the only one who was remotely interested in that project. And through Project 38, I was able to meet Miranda McGee. And Miranda McGee she's an actor over at the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company, and I have so much respect for her because she taught me a lot about like theater.
So you got the love, the theater love from your English teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and so it just sounds like you just keep making
Right.
theater connection after theater connection.
Right, you know,
after-
right,
it's
you
such
know,
a cool thing. Like,
right, you know,
we need you
and-
to stay involved in local theater in this city too, because
Listen.
and I can't wait to see in August.
Mhm.
Yeah, upcoming.
What's in store at the No Theater.
Yeah, I'm a blogger. I'm a poet. I'm a public speaker. At least I like to think so.
No, absolutely, and what that is total radio cue for what's the website again?
Diary of a Mad Black Trans Girl.com. Check it out.
That is, and the blog post, and then the Jesse's photo shoots there too, right?
Yes,
That I
yes,
totally
it
don't know
is,
how
it
I missed
is.
it.
And if you are hearing this and you would like to connect with me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at Ariel Marianne.
We will
Put the links on our
Put the
on
links.
outcincinnati.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
You know, I'm just I'm just leading the way so that I'm just making this trail so that other people can walk it.
Totally, and I want to keep seeing your face in theater and all over Cincinnati. Thank you, Ariel.
Thank you.
And happy Pride, and this is Out
Happy
Cincinnati.
Pride to you.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Here at Out Cincinnati, we always drop the beat.
If you're feeling lonely, just give Chris and Melissa a call at 513-212-6752.
You're listening to Out Cincinnati on 91.7 FM WVXU HD2 right here in Cincinnati. I am joined on the phone by Miss Nina West. Thank you so much.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And I have so much to congratulate you on. Miss Congeniality, Grand Marshal, Columbus Pride Parade, the Pride Brunch, the Nina West Way, just out the bat, that is so cool, all that stuff that you have going on.
Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy how people have responded to me, and I'm really grateful. So it's just this whole thing is the whole journey's been nuts.
Yeah, I want to ask you what the Nina West Way is philosophically in a few minutes, and we'll talk about what that is. But I want to ask about Cincinnati Pride. That's today. Aren't you excited? What can we expect?
Cincinnati Pride, we can expect coming together and celebrating and using this incredible day also as a point of activation and activism, and really counting that we are seen and we are heard and we are all together in this incredible movement. So I think Cincinnati Pride is just another further echoing of this incredible continuation of Pride Month that's been celebrated all over the world and now here today in Cincinnati.
Happy Pride, by the way. I always start everything off in June like that. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride to you.
Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of a year-long feeling, I guess, for everybody. But June is kind of like, yeah, Happy Pride, damn it. Anyways, I want to know. I wanted to know, like, your approach to drag. I'm a big boy, and I really appreciate the fact that the spotlight was on you so much this season on Drag Race. How do you approach drag in general, and especially being 6'3"? I mean, I know that because I wasn't like stalking you or anything. I just heard it in an interview. What's your approach to drag?
I think initially, I mean, now I don't really think about my size too much. I mean, I think about it in relation to how I'm presenting myself and what I'm going to wear. But it's not. I don't really kind of consider that any longer as something to. It doesn't really define my drag so much, but it does, right? So the long long story longer. I have always been the size that I am, and I stick out and I stand out, and I think the kind of drag that I do, which is much more this classic ideal of drag, of the concepts of drag. Like, I'm not fooling anybody. I'm not trying to. My illusion is just drag. It's like I'm not trying to really present a passable woman.
Right. That's what I've heard. You heard you talk about passing, and it doesn't really matter because as a comedy queen, right?
Well, right. So that's never been my goal. I thought that's what I had to do when I first did drag. Maybe for the first couple months, I thought I had to pass. I thought that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, drag's just not for me. Like, I'm not going to fit in. I can't do drag. And then I was introduced to camp comedy and high comedy drag and really classic drag, and I realized, oh wait, no, there's a place for me too, and I can kind of cultivate and craft my own kind of drag. And then I learned along the way that I didn't always have to do comedy, that I could do dramatic theatrical production, that I could do numbers with point and purpose and a political tilt, and always still represent my best self. And I think that's what I've really grown into, is I know who I am, and I know I'm really comfortable in my skin, and I think that's part of what drag has taught me, right? Drag is a great learning ground for who you are and who you want to be and how you get there. And
the one time, sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say the one time I did drag, it was very liberating. I will tell you, it was I did Mimi from the Drew Carey Show. And that was quite a show, let me tell you. It was fun. It was fun. I had the troll earrings and everything. We're talking to Nina West on Out Cincinnati. I want to know where the name Nina West came from. Educate us.
Yeah. So the last name West is my drag mother's last name, so Virginia West. And Nina comes from Nina Simone. So I named myself after one of the greatest vocalists ever to record. I love her, and I think that came from a deep college state of being way into my feelings and trying to kind of present myself to the world the way that I thought I needed to, which was a serious theatrical entertainer and artist who was going to do drag. Which is then, it's just really just kind of taken on its own life. People think it's a Nine West name. It is not. I'm not playing off of the bankruptcy company.
Oh, come on. No. Well, first of all, people should look up Nina Simone.
They never had shoes in my size, so why would I name myself after them?
Oh, I know. I think I'm a 13 triple wide, and I just got some Skechers, and I was so happy that they had my size. So I feel you on that. I want to ask you. I saw in an interview where you talked about kind of what you went through in college, and I don't want to all the details, but how have you, and that was at a different, you're 39, correct?
I'm 40.
And that was at 40. I'm sorry. So you're 40. That was at a different time. What has changed since that troubling time in college? And if you want to talk about that and kind of go, what happened and how do we get rid of that divisive rhetoric and move on?
Yeah, so what happened to me in college, I think, it happened 20 years ago. Matthew Shepard was murdered on I don't want to get the year wrong, but Matthew Shepard was murdered over 20 years ago as well. And it's crazy to me that the times really haven't changed so much, right? I think now we're facing transgender women of color are being murdered in communities all over this country for who they are, and the transgender community is under attack. And this is and when I tell you, I told my story on Drag Race, and the amount of people who've come up to me and said, "That's my story. You told my story. That happened to me in college, and no one heard me, no one saw me, no one listened to me. I'm lucky that I made it out, and I appreciate you telling your story and sharing your voice because that is my story." And those are coming from people who are all the way ages of like 22 to 38, people who are my generation and younger. So this is not something that's gone away, and we can say it happened at a different time, but it isn't. And we live in such a really dangerous time where people are just talking about how they are better than others, and how people who are not like them don't deserve rights. And I think we're actually probably in a more dangerous time now because I feel like we're almost at a tipping point. And we have to protect ourselves, and we have to come to Prides, and we have to go outside after Prides and raise up and use our voices and activate and make positive change for our community. And doing that, hopefully, will help solve some of these problems, but they're not going away. And if we don't talk about them, and if we don't support the people who are experiencing these things, even if it's people in communities that we don't understand or we don't have any knowledge of, we have to take it upon ourselves to figure out that knowledge and figure out how we can activate and connect with people and make sure that this doesn't continue to happen.
Totally. I mean, it's a slippery slope if we don't stay on top of it and be present in the community. I hate to use the word normalize, but be that LGBT plus person that your friend knows or that or have, it doesn't even matter. Just have friends, make it so what?
It's not so much about normalizing, because I don't think we want to lose our own community sense and who we are as individuals, right? The queer community, the LGBTQIA community is so diverse, and perhaps the most diverse of all communities, because we're comprised of so many different kinds of people who are all just wanting to live their life and be happy and have not had the chance or the ability or the opportunity given to them to do so. So I don't think we want to normalize. I think we want to say. I think we just want to put our flag in the ground, and our stake in the ground, and say, this is me. Also, I'm here too. Love me. And it's not necessarily also about making friends and trying to make people comfortable with you. That's not our job. Our job is not
Yeah. Well, when I talk about normalize, I guess is when I've talked to people in television series and things. I see a character like me on TV and things like that. So that kind of But I totally get the idea of planting that flag in the ground and say, this is me, this is who I am, I identify as, I'm this, and that's fine. Totally. I want to ask you about the children's book. When is it coming out? Is it out?
Well, I have a children's EP out called Drag is Magic. So it's 5 songs that are introducing children to concepts of drag. And I know people are probably going to raise their eyebrow at that. But really, ultimately, these are lessons that are familiar to all of us. They're just coming from a different storyteller. So these are lessons about being good to one another, being kind to one another, learning how to be yourself and be confident. The alphabet. I mean, it's very, very top level, right?
So that's an EP, not a book, right? Okay, so people can get the EP version.
EP. No, but there are hopes to do a book, and there are conversations about doing a book, and hopefully there will be a book sooner than later.
Nice. Okay, I heard talk of that, so I wanted to get the scoop if I could. We're talking to Nina West. Pride Cincinnati is today. Go out and see Nina tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on Out Cincinnati.
You're listening to Out Cincinnati. It is here. We are celebrating Cincinnati Pride. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, Chris.
Happy Pride once again. Got to get out there and enjoy the festivities. Thank you so much to Ty Herndon for joining us on the phone. It was great to talk to him. Looking forward to that performance later. And Jessica, Dimon, and Lexi Love going to be doing some great drag today all the schedules for Cincinnati Pride. There's a whole afternoon and an evening and really the whole rest of the month to find out great stuff to do with Pride, but it's all at Out Cincinnati.
Yeah, and please share your stories with us. What are you
Yes.
doing? What have you done for Pride? Have you had fun? Are you having fun? What's
Your
going
pictures on Instagram, tag
Yeah.
us at Out Cincinnati. We'd love it.
Yes.
We will see you next time. This is Radio Artifact on 91.7 FM HD2 WVXU.